All right, everybody. Welcome back to Doc May Podcast, episode number 20. Got my good friend, Tyler Pollino. You can follow him on Instagram at Lurbergs. You mind spelling that for him, Tyler?
Yeah, it's Lurrburgz.
Spelling is not a strong suit if you follow him on Instagram. But it's a good buddy of mine. Went to college together, believe it or not. I was actually a little afraid of this guy at one point. He was my hazer in the fraternity, my pledge master. But now we're good buddies. We put that aside. We're grown adults, and he's really knowledgeable in the fitness space. He's pretty much seen it all: bodybuilding shows, fitness shows, and I think provide a lot of good value tonight on that end of things in terms of fitness, muscle gain, fat loss, cardio, weightlifting, all that stuff. So we're gonna get into it. So first of all, Tyler, talk a little bit about your background. You said you've kind of been through it all. Where'd you get started with it?
Yeah, so essentially my degree is in health sciences, so it's always been an interest in me. But I never really knew how to tailor it. So coming out of college, you know me, I was a big boy.
Yeah.
I was pushing 300 pounds without really lifting at all. I thought I knew what I was doing in the gym, but my diet was essentially pizza and beer. But it wasn't until I got in the corporate world where you kind of notice that people look at you differently the way you look. Mm-hmm. And it kind of struck a fire in me to make a change. Okay. So, that's kind of how I ended up where I'm at now. I would say it was about a year progress. I dropped about 100 pounds and then got really into the bodybuilding world.
Got the 100 pounds in a year.
About 100 pounds in a year. And I was doing it the right way. I had so much fat, and I guess I spent so much time in the gym doing it the right way. And it's definitely doable. So
what was the right way for you?
What was the right weight?
What was the right way for you?
It was just, I'll probably get into it later, but tracking my macros. So it wasn't even essentially what I was eating, but making sure I was eating more. So right. I went from eating 2-3 meals a day, just stuffing my face, to spreading it out to 5-6 meals a day. And I broke down my calories by the day over those 6 meals. So whether it was a Pop-Tart or chicken or something like that, I'd mark it down, and that's what I used. I gauged it that way. And I would add cardio depending on if I felt bigger or smaller. And it was all self-taught. So
you really think that the multiple meals a day was a better approach than 2 or 3? Can you explain why?
I'm very big on the caveman approach. So, my philosophy is when you don't eat for 4 or 5 hours, you go into starvation mode. I'm sure this has been debunked, and I know you have other theories as well, but I'll notice the difference when I'm eating those 5 to 6 meals that I'm starving all day long. And essentially to me, it's I'm burning more. I need more. My body's working, but I'm not eating. It goes into starvation mode. So when you do eat, it's going to say, hey, I need these nutrients, suck them right up, whether it's fat or good or what it is. So a lot of times you see people who only eat 1 or 2 meals and they think it's healthy, but it's going to grab everything out of it and suck it right up.
Yeah. And I think if you're trying to bodybuild, if you're trying to gain weight, good luck eating like the OMAD diet, the 1 meal a day. Like, are there benefits to fasting, autophagy, things like that? Will you tinker with hormone levels, testosterone, human growth hormone? Yeah, but I tend to agree. You need at least 4, maybe even at least 5 meals a day if you're actually trying to put weight on and muscle on. Because it's hard. You got to just look at protein distribution throughout the day too, right? Like, you can't just eat 1 meal. Like, for example, I weigh right now like 220.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get at least 220 grams of protein a day, like at least. And dude, if I do that all in 2 meals, let alone 1 meal, there's no way I'm going to be able to utilize that protein.
Yeah, hypothetically, depending on the body and what supplements you use, you can only really digest about 50 grams an hour.
Right.
So, there's no point in eating more than that or indulging.
Yeah.
Having a cheat meal or something of that nature, that's a little different because your body's going to suck up what it needs and kind of refuel, as they say. But
yeah.
But
the cheat meal, let's talk about that. The cheat meal is more so for replenishing glycogen stores and eating carbs, right? And you could store I think your body's better storing carbohydrates than it is protein, no?
Yeah, the first place it stores is carbohydrates. So I keep jumping all over the place, but that's why people do fasted cardio, because basically you are utilizing all your carbs as energy, and then they're basically running out. So when you wake up in the morning, you have nothing in you, and you're going to do fasted cardio because it uses your first form of storage, which is fat, and basically carbs turn to fat. So that's why people do fasted cardio.
Yeah, and personally, I do fasted cardio too, actually. Now, I do see a lot of people showing studies that say it doesn't really matter that much. But that's another topic I like to talk about too. It's like
we're all over the place.
yeah, but like, do you like to go, like, do you have to do everything? Like there doesn't need to be like a double-blind placebo study for every single thing for me
Yeah.
to realize that it works. Like sometimes if it works, I don't care if the study says it doesn't work. If it worked for me and it works for me over and over and over and over again, then guess what? Maybe I'm one of those people in those study who actually did work, but 99% of people it didn't work. Whatever, I'm like 1%, fine, it works for me. So there's a study that's going to prove one thing, and there's going to be a study that's going to disprove that same thing on the other side. So while research is beneficial and should be what we adhere to, you also got to just do with, you know, the old-fashioned time-tested methods as well. And I think fasted cardio is a good one.
Yeah, I mean, as far as bodybuilding is concerned, that is like, it's unheard of people not doing fasted cardio. I mean, the only alternative is post-workout because your heart rate's already up, you're already sweating,
Right.
and you're already in that burning mode. But I mean, if you're doing a show, every single coach across the board will tell you fasted cardio. And
Yeah.
but again, it's a different world for everything. I mean, you don't need to get that extreme if you're not competing, or you don't want to get that lean. These guys are going on stage at 5% body fat, 3%.
Which isn't actually healthy. It's very unhealthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother topic. But I mean, yeah, it's
right,
very.
But we can still take aspects from bodybuilding, even though we realize like it's extreme, a lot of it is unhealthy. But like, look, like the world and the population is overweight. We could take something from this population that knows how to like get down to a super low body fat and use some of that and have it be beneficial. So that's why there's value in this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I know guys that are absolute monsters who do zero cardio and they're just very strict with their diet and they train very hard and they are just shredded year round. I know lots of athletes who are actually natural and they're just so strict with their diet that you can get away with that stuff. But I mean, that's essentially how we're supposed to live. The food that we have is not natural. I mean, everything that we put in our body is essentially processed in some nature, unless we were cooking in our own kitchen.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we should all be probably living in that 10% body fat or less range. But I mean, it's
I would say at least 15, right? 15.
Yeah, for a female, it should be a little higher. But
yeah, females, 20 probably, 25. What would you say for females?
What's that?
What would you say for females is like the
I mean, 15 to 20 is the safe normal range. If you're not, again, if you're not this into the complete muscle look,
right.
If you're some natural person that's in I guess the fit world,
just trying to be healthy, right? Yeah, like
trying to be healthy.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, our diet's our process. I mean, I'm a fan of like eating Paleolithic, but like even the paleo diet itself is a myth because all our food has been like totally different than it was like all those years ago. So that's actually going to segue into my next question, which is a big divide I see on the internet. Like when I first started the Instagram account and started following accounts and seeing like big people and what they're posting, there seems to be a big debate between like the if it fits your macros crowd versus like the quality crowd. So one crowd thinks that calories are like the end all be all, doesn't matter what you eat as long as it fits your macros, essentially, as long as it fits your calorie count. And the other side says like you don't need to count calories, just like eat whole foods, eat paleo, whatnot. What are your thoughts on that?
Again, I mean, I'm always going to be a little biased, just being the community that I'm in. But I mean, if it fits your macros, definitely fits. If you're trying to lose weight and you're even just trying to be somewhat fit, again, I lost 100 pounds. I mean, literally, the staple of the diet was Pop-Tarts.
Right.
And it worked. I mean, I was in very good shape. I had definition. I lost the weight. But I mean, you plateau. There's only so much you can do. And essentially, that's when I would start seeking coaches and other things of that nature. And then starting to learn that like quality is better.
Right.
I mean, your body can only process so much junk and it can only do so much stuff. But if you're giving it good quality food, it can utilize it better. You can get more energy. You can get more protein to build muscle. I mean, it's
better hormone regulation as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation I have a lot of people all the time is when you're anything sugar related is going to spike your insulin. It's going to make you absorb fat. Mm-hmm. So that's why, I mean, it's good to have post-workout because it helps you suck up all the nutrients you need. But other than that, anything can really just throw you off. That's why you get lethargic and tired after you have a soda or you have something you think is healthy, salad dressing, loaded with sugar, things like that. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's a very given push situation. You really got to be careful with it. If it fits your macros, you got to be really on it. And it depends on your goals. I mean, if you're okay, you just want to live a healthy lifestyle and you just want to maintain, okay, that's fine. But if you want to take it to the next level, then you really need to watch what you put in your body. Yeah.
And if it's macros will work for a lot of people too. But if you have a specific health condition, if you have a digestive issues, also colitis, Crohn's disease, like no, like you got to watch what you're eating. I don't care. You could be following your calorie count and still be unhealthy. So it goes both ways. So basically that those two sides need to meet somewhere in the middle and realize that, yeah, calories matter, but quality also matters too.
Yeah, that's it's definitely a big sticking point for me. I actually just posted something recently about online coaches and how misleading it is. And a lot of times all they do is they'll just copy and paste the cookie cutter routine that is basically to fit your macros. And people are losing weight, but I mean, long term, it might not be the right answer. Yeah.
Right. So, and then people don't realize once you like lose that weight, you're not going to be able to lose weight on the same diet that you lost weight on 50 pounds ago.
Yeah.
Just recalculate it, redistribute it. And yeah. Let's talk more about your background. So you've done a bodybuilding show, right?
Yeah. So I've actually only done one show. I prepped for
one show. Okay.
I prepped for a lot. I mean, the closest I was to another show was I was 6 weeks out, and that was when COVID happened. Okay. So just yeah. But they added a new class, which is basically the classic physique look. It's more the Arnold look. So I was trying to tailor my look to that over the last couple of years, and I was finally prepping for a show, and then COVID happened, and they all got canceled. So kind of got off the bandwagon for a little bit and just enjoyed life because things were so hectic. But yeah, I mean, I got one show on my belt. I mean, it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's a full-time job, and you either have it or you don't.
Let's talk about some of that prep for that. So let's go. When was the date of the show? Like what month?
I believe I think that was June or April.
Okay. So what did you start doing like the June or April beforehand? Like, is that when it started? So
prep for a show is essentially, depending on how much body fat you have and things of that nature, is typically 4 months, 12 weeks. 4 months, okay. So, I mean, that's usually when you start prepping for a show. Depending on your coach, you'll go down to maybe one cheat meal a week, and then you get closer, maybe 6 weeks out, you go down to no cheats at all. Increase your cardio, fasted, like I talked about before. It'll go from maybe a half hour to an hour. And then you'll slowly see your carbs start tapering down.
When you say fasted cardio, are you walking? Are you running? Are you sprinting? Or what kind
of? The rule of thumb I've always had with coaches was your heart rate's between about 135 and 140. That's the fat burning zone. Okay. So, I mean, it depends how in shape you are. Like right now, if I got on there, I'd probably be doing a walk and my heart would be racing. But when I'm ready for the show, I could be literally sprinting and I can't get my heart rate up.
So what do you do in that case?
That's why you see a lot of guys on the stairs primarily.
Okay.
You're doing I mean, that's the quickest way to get your heart rate up. So,
all right, that makes sense.
But I mean, essentially that's it. It's just tapering down your carbs and kicking off your cheat meals and things of that nature, and slowly just depleting. Add cardio as needed, and then probably you're gonna love this, but you actually water load going into the show. So about a week out, you drink 2 gallons of water a day, and then you basically cut your water in half every day going to the show. So the day before you have 0 water.
You're just super dehydrated.
So that's why it's called dried out. Your skin almost looks like a rubber band. You can pull on it and just, there's nothing there.
Damn. What are your workouts like during this time?
Essentially, it all basically kind of stays the same. So, I mean, the range that I work in is usually 4 to 5 sets of like 12 reps.
Okay. And do you do like the split, like the body part split, like you'll do like chest one day, back the next day?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the biggest splits I do are legs. So I'll have a quad day and a ham day, and then I have a lat day and a row day. So that's one thing I definitely picked up throughout the bodybuilding world is just there's such big muscles that you can't just give it one day. A lot of people tend to disregard the fact that your muscles have multiple heads.
Right.
So, I mean, I'll literally train my legs close. I'll train them wide, in, out. I mean, every angle. And that's how you get this definition, how you get that look.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, same thing with back. I'll have a lat day that's why I have these guys, they call them the wings, the large lat spreads. I mean, they have a whole day dedicated to that width.
Yeah.
But as far as that, I mean, they're the only 2 days that are really split up, or only 2 muscles. But essentially, break it down. I mean, it's depending on the coach, again, they switch it up and things of that nature. But
so prior to those 4 months, are you just all about packing on size? Because the 4 months before that is like show prep. So I would assume like you did like the 4 month start, you start eating less calories, less carbs. Like how many carbs are you eating like when you're actually trying to build and put the muscle on as opposed to contest prep?
I mean, it's significantly more. I haven't really actually done my macros in a long time, but I think I sent you my current diet. I start my day. It's a cup of oats, 2 meals is a cup of rice, another meal is 3/4 cup of rice, and then I have like a carb powder I mix with my protein, and then I finish off my night with like rice cakes and stuff. So I mean, it's a lot of carbs.
Yeah.
Coming down to a show, I mean, you'll see my diet slowly taper to a half cup of rice, and like a cup from 2 rice cakes to 1 rice cake to essentially where you're basically getting none towards the end. So I mean, I know we were talking about clean bulking and dirty bulking, so or we didn't really get into it yet, but I mean, if you're clean dieting through the year, you can put on some serious mass without getting fat.
Right.
You'll lose your abs, you'll lose the crazy definition. You won't be striated, but you can. I've seen guys that look like absolute monsters, and they are still pretty lean. But you're going to lose about 20 pounds going into the show, if not more.
What percentage? I know this is a nebulous question, but what percentage would you attribute to genetics in terms of success on stage and in building muscle in general?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely going to say that I think a lot has to do with it. I mean, I know guys who are completely natural and who eat like shit, and they look 10 times better than me.
Right.
And I mean, genetics definitely has some play in it. You can't say it's 100%, but most of these guys who win Mr. Olympics and things of that nature were D1 athletes and things of that nature. I mean, they were just born with it.
Blessed, yeah.
I mean, they've always had the athletic gene. I mean, it's always been tough for me. It's hard for me to lose weight. It's hard for me to put on muscle mass. I mean, really, it can be a difficult thing. So
what percent would you say? What number would you give?
As far as how much genetics plays in it?
All right. So how much, like, basically, if we split into 2 camps, like genetics versus work ethic?
I would say at least 30% goes into genetics.
30%? Okay.
I mean, like I said, I've seen some guys. I got a buddy who's probably as big as me, if not bigger. And I mean, his diet is Oreos, and he goes to the gym 2-3 times a week, and he's a monster. Right.
And you know what? That's not his fault, but I'd have to say that that's kind of harmful to people, for people to see that.
Yeah.
And then think, oh, I can go do that. I could just eat Oreos and work out. And it's not going to work for you if you don't have the proper genetics.
And that just definitely hurt me in the past too, because I'll be getting ready for a show. I'll be doing things of that nature. And I have buddies who are just cheating left and right and this and that. And I'm like, hey, they did it, I can do it. And then I'll have to do double the cardio and double the work to burn it.
Yep.
It definitely has a play in it.
So you mentioned come out of college. How much did you weigh?
So the biggest I ever was about 275. I'm 5'10".
Okay.
And that was my junior year of college. So
right.
I think I left college around 250. I was fluctuating between 250 and 260. And then I dropped down to, I think I was like I was right under 170 when I finally seeked out the help of a coach.
Gotcha.
So I'm definitely an extremist. I need a hard goal to, hey, I'm just going to do a bodybuilding show. I need a hard goal. I need an end date.
Right. Well, what do you think led you to be that weight to begin with?
There was a lot of different factors at the time. I mean, there was the girl. There was there was the work thing. I said. I mean, I had a general manager at the time who would constantly make weight jokes. We'd have like food like breaks and things like that. Yeah, make sure you save a lot for him and stuff like that. And
right.
then I remember this guy at the time. He was sponsored by Animal. Started following me. He was the same age as me. And I'm like, dude, this guy's like 24 years old. He's an absolute monster. He's a house. Like, if this guy looks like this, he's my age. Why can't I look like this? Mm-hmm. So it was all the factors at once. I mean, it all played out at the exact same time, and it kind of like a fire went off.
But my question was, what led you to that weight to begin with? Like,
I mean, yeah, no, I'm definitely an emotional eater, stress eater. I blame my mom essentially.
Why's that?
I was always rewarded or like treated with food. Hey, you got an A on a test. Here's a pizza. Hey, you're feeling really sad today. Here's a pizza. Like, no matter what, it was like whatever emotion I was feeling, I was rewarded with food. So to this day, I mean, I'll have a bad day at work, and like that's when I break my diet. I have a shitty work, and I'm like, let me just go get something to eat, like something like that. So, and it's hard. I spiral. I mean, I'm very transparent on my Instagram. I was a lot more in the past. It definitely became a little overwhelming, so I kind of backed off a little bit. But
right.
I mean, it's a roller coaster, especially if you had a lifelong battle with it. I mean, I'll fluctuate 50, 60 pounds a year, which is definitely not healthy as well. But you go in waves, man. You get a little taste of the sweets and things like that, and then it takes you about a month to reset.
Yeah. So we had a little Oreo like nose dive. Did you not?
Yeah, I was on like I think when that show got canceled, I was on like a 4-month Oreo bender. So I mean, it happens, and I always joke that I don't know how I got like the followers I have, but I think it's because I'm so transparent about it. Like a lot of these guys will go on there and be like, yeah, I just did cardio and I'm ripped. I'm like, dude, like I sabotage myself all the time. I was like, I'll lay in bed for a month and eat Oreos and go through it. I mean, people do.
Yeah, I think probably why you're popular is because people are sick of just seeing like the best versions of people on Instagram.
Yeah.
They want to see it all. And I think you show it all. So that's really cool. So you think that really is rooted in childhood and your mother just constantly rewarding you no matter what? I mean, does everybody else in your family struggle with weight, or is it just you? Or
Yeah, I mean, my immediate family, like my sisters do, and I do, but everyone else, like, pretty good genetics. I mean, my cousin was actually a very big bodybuilder at one point as well. Just definitely, I think I wouldn't say genetics, but he's got same genetics. But he was I mean, absolute house at 24, 25 before he got out of it. So I mean, everyone in my family's been pretty good as far as genetics and weight and things of that nature. So I think I was the first one that kind of was the heavy set.
Gotcha.
Again, it definitely has a lot to do with the food too, because the food changed dramatically in, I would say, the 90s, and I'm born in 89.
Yeah, right. That's when a lot of it hit for sure.
Yeah. That wasn't really a thing in the past. So
all right. What else changed about you since college, would you say? I mean, we've seen each other a few times here and there since college, but haven't really had a chance to really sit down and talk in person for a while. So, I mean, looking at who you were in college, looking at who you are now, what's the biggest difference?
yeah, I mean, so I guess a little topic, but isn't. But I mean, I don't drink anymore, so that definitely contributed to the fitness life and things of other nature. But yeah, you know me from college, I was a complete hot mess. So, I mean, between waking up,
a little bit of a loose cannon, I'd say.
yeah. So I mean, I meet people now I haven't seen in years, and they're like, "There's no way you're the same person." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm I'm definitely a lot more calm and composed and think things through."
Yeah.
So again, talk about like the food as a reward and things of that nature. It was kind of like alcohol for me. It was having a bad day, I'm gonna drink. I never craved it, never wanted it, but it was a way for me to feel at peace for the time. So kind of had to battle some demons and get through that.
It was just numbing, was it not?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot had to do with my insecurities, being extremely overweight. I never felt like I fit in or I was like popular enough, or all my friends were like better looking. And it's crazy because I'll talk to girls from college now, 10, 12 years later, whatever it is, and they'll be like, dude, like you're a good looking guy, you just were an asshole. And I was like, okay, that I've been 10 years ago, but like,
yeah,
it was a way to feel like I fit in. So
gotcha.
I was definitely a loose cannon, but at the time, that's kind of what I needed to get through it. So, but
now, what connection would you make between alcohol and your current struggles with food?
it's just a completely different vice. I mean, alcohol, I guess, kind of makes you just feel alive and in the moment and part of something, while food is almost comforting. So for me, like alcohol is a very quick temporary fix. I mean, food is too, but
right.
They're
both quick, and then regret like not too long later.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But I mean, I definitely pick food over alcohol any day. I mean, it's something you can control at least how you are while you're doing it.
Nobody eats a pack of Oreos and then goes and like gets in the car and kills somebody, right?
No, I definitely have a sick Oreo obsession. So
I know.
I eat like cereal. I fill an entire bowl, and then like I'll eat a whole pack in like one bowl.
What's your go-to cheat meal?
Oh God, I've been doing a lot of pizza lately, which is it's boring, but
No, that's not boring. That's
I'm a pizza guy. So I don't know if you're in the Manioc area. There's a place called Lucky's Last Chance. That's like my favorite spot. I mean, every burger you can possibly imagine.
Really?
And you got Insomnia a block away. So I'll usually hit up Lucky's, they have like mac and cheese burgers, they have a peanut butter and jelly burger.
And finish off with some Insomnia.
I walk down the block in Insomnia. Like when I'm on my prep for real, that's what I'll do.
Well, on your prep?
So a rule of thumb is if it fits on one plate, it's allowed. So you stack it up, it counts. That's not true, but yeah.
That's fine.
Usually a burger and fries and stuff like that's allowed. I'm usually allowed to get like one sweet. You're just not supposed to overkill.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah.
So have you ever like been prepping for a show, or like not prepping for a show, but I've been outside of a show eating and ran into a situation where like your health started to suffer from the way you're eating, because we talked about dirty bulking earlier. I'll share my personal story. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily prepping for a show, but I'll notice when I'm on my little like less healthier benders that I mean, I feel like trash. I feel dehydrated. I have headaches. I just feel completely like garbage when I wake up. And again, it's a lot to do with insulin spikes, and I think it has to do with genetics too. I mean, it could be food allergies, things of that nature. I've actually just went to go see a specialist. I'm like, I feel like shit all the time. But when I'm like very hardcore into my diet, I mean, obviously not cutting for a show, but when I'm following it, having my vegetables, having all my round foods. I mean, there's rice and there's chicken and there's beef and there's oats, all of the whole foods that you need. I feel significantly better. My energy's up. My allergies feel better. I mean, two different people, and I recognize it. I mean, even I definitely suffer with a little bit of anxiety and things of that nature. I can feel that go up and down too as my diet changes.
Yep. Thoughts on eating organic versus conventional?
I really, again, I'm gonna be a little biased. Just bodybuilding, you eat so much food, and if you don't have the money, you just have to go with what you can get.
Conventional. I get it.
I think at the end of the day, you really don't know what's going in your food, regardless whether it's organic or not. I'm sure it's 100 times better, but I'm sure at the end of the day, something's going to get you. They put in it regardless.
True.
I mean, I'm very negative when it comes to the food industry. I think there's a lot of lying done and a lot of manipulation.
Kind of hard to trust anything run by the government these days.
Yeah, you never know. They could be feeding the chicken food that has stuff in it. I mean, you could.
Yeah. I think unless you literally like go to the farm and like pick out that cow and or pick out that chicken, which there are companies that are trying to do that. I'm having a guy on next week. He owns a farm, nosethetail.org, also hosts a Food Lies podcast. Like he literally will like show you exactly which cow you're getting, show you his diet like to a T. And like he's not really like making a profit off it so much, but he's one in like a billion people. Like nobody's going to do that. So it's tough. What we got there.
That's Bailey. She's being nosy.
Is she being needy right now?
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just gonna throw her down. She's being super nosy. Yeah, I mean, I think the one video that really fucked me up in the past, I used to actually boil my chicken. It's disgusting. I can't do it anymore. But for about
why were you doing that?
So I remember watching a video on YouTube of all the stuff they inject into it, all the water, everything. They get fatter and weigh more and things of that nature. So I mean, I read into it. It was like boil it and see what comes out of it. I mean, your water is thick, yellow, dense. It's absolutely foul, and your chicken loses so much weight. I mean, it's not the most tastiest food, but
and then you eat it afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, you can shred it up, you can do whatever you want. The chicken just falls apart after that. But I would literally just boil it because in my head I'm like, hey, this is the better option. I'm getting all this crap out of it. And then eventually you get to the world where you're just lazy and you don't want to do that anymore.
Well, no, I get your point. I think, yeah, it's hard. If your body, like even right now, I'm trying to put some weight on, and I know I'm spending more money on food. I'm going to the grocery store more often. I'm going to BJ's, getting wholesale food like more often. So like, if you don't have like the financial reason, the means for that, then it's just not going to work out. I think always try for it if you can, but we live in the real world. So it's tough. It's really tough.
Nah, and you can even Google images of like what the meat's actually supposed to look like. It'll be completely different colors, or like how big a chicken is that is off a farm that's like farm fed versus off like a stock. I mean, they're like significantly larger. I mean, unhealthy conditions.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, I have a very negative mindset that I'm like, something's gonna get me regardless. So I might as well just save a couple bucks here. I mean,
so you just throw your hands up and say, inject me, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm eating about at least 1.5 pounds of food a day right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, of meat. So I mean, it adds up quick.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to share my personal story, after college, going into chiropractic school, my buddies and I were like, all right, let's just bulk, like dirty bulk. It doesn't really matter. I actually wasn't that dirty. At least I didn't think I was, but looking back, I was pretty dirty. But I went from 235 to 265, I swear, in like less than 2 months. Like I completely blew up. and I was still recovering from a meniscus surgery. So I wasn't even like really able to do like lower body workouts. So I looked like crap. I looked like the quintessential guy who skipped leg day.
Yeah.
I kept going. And I think I got all it's like 285. And then my health just like went to complete crap. Both knees started hurting now. And I think that like really had some long-term detrimental effects on my hormones and my body and everything, because it took me like a year to recover from that. I lost the weight really quick. Like I think I lost like pretty much 80 pounds in 3 months. Like I just like completely cut it out, was just eating like nothing. But like my testosterone, my thyroid, all that shit just went in the tube. So you got to be careful, and you got to follow a plan. And I think other negative of bodybuilding, I think it's prone to eating disorders.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of that?
So I think the biggest issue is with the females.
Right.
So you go into the stage of this look that you will never be able to maintain. I think I've met one person in my entire life who was natural and who looked like she was stage ready 24/7. Right. I mean, I've met
hundreds. And she was probably highly genetically blessed.
Yeah, I mean, she was in the military. She was just a genetic freak, and she was obsessed with her diet. Right. I mean, but she would eat like a horse too. But I mean, that's one person out of thousands of people I've met. But I'll see a lot of girls who they'll get off stage and they'll blow up because they just can't handle the stress of not looking that way.
Yep.
Or they just fall apart. I mean, it'll take them 6-7 months to get back into it just because they are so depressed that they can't maintain this look. I mean, guys do it too, but I think it's a lot less stigmatized than guys. They're kind of like, haha, I'm getting fat. Like my abs are gone. Like,
yeah. And that definitely is very unfair to females because they have a very specific body image, like that they're going for. Like, cause like anywhere in society, like like you could have like guys ripped bodybuilders, that's celebrated, and you have like dad bod being celebrated too. Like girls aren't that lucky, they don't have that.
Yeah, and I mean, I always joke that I have like the Jack Dad bod because I mean, unless I get surgery, I'll always have a pouch just because I was so heavy. I didn't share, but even when I did my first show, they had to glue my stomach down into my shorts because there was so much loose skin and just stuff that won't go away.
Yeah.
But
so sir, let's dive off into that real quick. So surgery is the only option for that?
Yeah, I mean, unless I start doing extreme amounts of illegal supplements and put on a ton of mass to fill in the loose skin, that's your only really options.
Right. And to put a ton of mass on in that area would require illegal supplements.
Yeah, I mean, to make your midsection that thick. But yeah, I have it primarily in like my armpit area and my stomach, which I said if I ever do a show again, I'll probably cross that bridge. But I want to get down that, get lean again and kind of see how I look and how I feel. But that's another thing that took me a long time to kind of accept and deal with because it sucks you put in all that work and like I'll be like super lean and I still don't have the abs my friends have because of the skin issue.
Yeah, and that's just like you said, there's not much you can do about that.
Yeah, I used to do a lot of, when I'm leaner, I'll do a lot of posts, kind of just like body positivity posts. Because again, a lot of women go through this from pregnancies or just being heavier and things like that. Like they'll train your ass off, you'll be ripped, you'll have a bicep vein, and then you have this like you don't have abs.
Right.
And you have them, but your skin's just not tight enough.
Yeah. It's just a little issue, like a little technicality that's just throwing it off.
Yeah. Again, that I would say genetics definitely plays a role in that because I know girls that have had 3-4 kids and they look like they've never had a kid day in their life, and I know people that have had one and they that was it.
Yeah, it's you got unlucky. Like that's just all it is to it.
I have guys ask me all the time, hey, if I lose weight, well, I have that too, and I'm like, hey, man, I can't promise you anything. All you can do is take care of it now and try to give your body collagen and things of that nature, and just keep going at it. But I was severely heavy for 25 years. I mean, the damage is done. Right.
So I think we finish up our point about eating disorders then. But yeah, it's tough. And I think a lot of people out there, they're just getting led one way or the other. They're just getting pulled in a bunch of different directions. If you had to just like simplify it for people, if you had to just tell them like three things for everybody to do starting tomorrow, if they want to they're not trying to be a bodybuilder, but they just want to look good and be healthy, what would they be? What would those three things be?
I mean, number one would be adding any kind of activity. I'll tell people just go for a 20-minute walk, a 30-minute walk. You don't have to know what you're doing at the gym, but just get moving.
Right.
Even if you're burning that extra 100 calories, the 100 to 500 calories, I mean, that's making a difference.
Stack that up every day, every week, every month, and yeah, it's going to.
Yeah, and just keep increasing it. I mean, that's how I got started. I remember going to the treadmill and doing, I did a 10-minute run, I did a 20-minute run, I did a 30-minute run. Eventually, I was doing an hour cardio and saying, "Holy shit, how did I get here?"
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what I always tell people: just do something. I mean, sitting at home being upset about it's not going to change anything.
Right.
I to this day, I swear up and down that when I started eating more, my body changed. Again, I know a lot of people have different opinions on it.
For the better.
For the better. So the minute I went from like 3 healthy meals a day to 5 or 6 healthy meals a day, I started losing weight like crazy. Again, it might be different for everybody. I know people do intermittent fasting and things of that nature, but for me, that's what worked.
And you're sure that it wasn't just due to something else? Like you weren't just working out more?
Nah, so I mean, I think even like leaving college, I kind of had an idea like what I was doing, but I would do like, hey, I had a protein shake and I had my chicken and rice, but nothing was really changing. And then like I got more and more and seeing these guys eating the 5 and 6 meals that are lifters. So I was like, you know what, like let me spread this out. And I mean, I remember the first month I lost 20 pounds.
Would it just be the same? Would it be isocaloric to spread out, or do you think you were actually eating more calories too?
I think I was eating more calories as well.
Okay.
So I mean, getting into it, you don't have a clue what you're doing. I think I was probably starving myself and not understanding why I wasn't losing weight. And again, it's very opinion based, but I think the more you eat, the more your metabolism is going to work.
You gotta have, dude. I mean, you gotta have the proper nutrients to meet your body's demands. So
yeah.
if you're under eating, and I think that's something people don't understand. If you're under eating, it's not going to help you. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing in that case.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest conversations I have with people. I said, hey, I don't know if you've tried this. Try breaking down your calories into 5 little meals. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be monster meals. It can be a shake and some oats. It can be some eggs and rice cakes, but it's got to be like slow digesting carbs, a protein, and a fat. I mean, do your best. And then, I mean, it's not really advice. I mean, it's different kind of advice, but my biggest thing was like social media is very misleading. I think that's why I do talk about what I talk about. So, I mean, these guys talk about like, hey, I did cardio today. This is why I look like this, or X, Y, and Z. 99% of the people I know in the industry are on something. Most of these people aren't natural, even like bikini girls and these Instagram celebrities and things of that nature are taking something. There's no way to maintain this look all year round.
Yep.
Especially the people you see out drinking and partying. I mean, again, genetics plays a role into it, but I have this conversation with people a lot of times. Like, this is not a natural look. I mean, if this is the look you want, then you're gonna have to take it to the next extreme. Gotcha. I mean, you can look great, you can look shredded, you can be cut down, but you're not gonna be like the guy on the stage. I remember growing up thinking the guy like Mr. Olympia was natural. Yeah. Like it's so misleading until you start digging into it. Like, hey, you take the nitrous oxide, you're going to get these huge veins. No, that's from like GH and insulin.
Right.
Like, so, I mean, that's one thing. I mean, I tell people, I'm like, hey, make sure you pick your role models correctly. I mean, there's plenty of people who do it right and who are transparent, and there's people who just want to make $1 off you. Yeah.
And how do you help people tell the difference?
I mean, a lot of times just taking the time to read their story. I mean, if it's like, hey, take this shake or take the supplement, I mean, 90% of the time it's just misleading you. There's no magic pill, there's no magic shake, there's no magic anything. But if someone's gonna take the time, do you sit like again, I don't really do as much as I used to do, but I would take the time and write, hey, like I was 270 pounds, this is what I did, like X, Y, and Z, this is how I train. I mean, and you'll see people be a lot more transparent. Hey,
more transparency.
I'll write all the time, hey, I roller coaster, man. I'll be fat as shit in December, and then I will be shredded in January or summertime. And I mean, it happens. Yeah. And that's a lot of times why like bodybuilding's tough in my head, because it's a full-time, full-year thing. And like I roller coaster too much to really be like, I'm gonna go on stage and just kill it. But it kind of gives me an end game, and some people need that. I need a finish line. Hey, if I commit to a show, even if I don't do it, it gives me a hard date.
Like you said, yeah, you need that mental deadline.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do. I think we can't just say, hey, I want to lose 10 pounds. It's gotta be, hey, I want to look like this. People ask me all the time, like, hey, can you help me? I said, what do you want to look like? Yeah. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, do you just want to lose weight? Do you want muscle mass? Do you want to be like, I always pull up, like, they have a natural bodybuilding league. I'm like, hey, look at these girls. Like, is that what you want to look like? They have bikini girls, they have figure girls. I mean, you want muscle? Do you just want to be fit? Yeah. I mean, a very wide spectrum. You kind of got to understand what you want to do. I think it's what you got to start. Hey, this is what I want to look like. This is what I want to achieve. And this is my hard goal.
You mentioned you were going more for the like classic Arnold look. How does that change your training?
It's not really, I guess, the training, but you'll see a lot of these shows now, these guys go on stage. And again, you have to be familiar with the sport, but they have those giant bellies and they have the gyno and things of that nature. So the sport just became very overwhelmed with drugs.
Mm-hmm.
So this was kind of to tail it away from that. I mean, even Arnold's and things of that nature have admitted to using like testosterone and things, which is still not great, but it's more of a natural substance.
Less extreme than what they're using today.
Yeah. So I mean, that's more tailored to this look. I mean, it's a lot less a fake look that is definitely not achievable naturally. But it's just very tailored to that classic look, larger legs, normal frame, not the huge GH belly and things of that nature.
Do you think, you think the sport in general is moving more towards that look, or are we still the extreme like who's that like some of the top guys today, like he's been in a few documentaries. He does like, he wears a mask on stage. He does like Kai Green. Yeah. Like his stomach is ridiculous. Phil Heath was the other guy I was thinking of, like his stomach's ridiculous. Like, you think we're moving away from that back into the more natural?
I know they're pushing towards it because people are dropping like flies. I don't know how hard to follow it.
Like they're dying.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really want to touch base too much on it because I know was very tight with a lot of people in the area, but a competitor that was supposed to be the Arnold a couple weeks ago, I think he died in his hotel room going to the show just from the diuretics and things of that nature. I mean,
this is recent.
What's that?
This was recently.
Arnold was what, 2 weeks ago?
Oh man.
So I mean, and then like what's his name? Dallas McGaver. He was about like 24 years old, dropped dead.
Jeez.
I mean, these guys are monsters, but you're putting things in your body and you just, there's so many different reasons. I hear guys doing insulin and they either go blind or they pass out or things like that. And like,
dangerous game, man. I mean, yeah, you're really manipulating, you're pushing your body to the absolute extremes.
So, I mean, that's definitely why they're trying to get out of that look because, I mean, guys are dying young. Right. A lot of these guys are dying at 40 in their 40s or 30s.
Yeah.
So more of a natural look is a lot less long-term damage, I think.
What's your opinion on meal timing and how important it is?
It's definitely important. I used to be very, very strict with it. I would have a 3 to 4 hour window. So whether there was 3 or 4 hours, I would stop whatever I was doing and eating. I still think you kind of got to stick in that time frame to get all your meals in. But at the end of the day, I know people that do push it. I push it sometimes. I mean, I don't think it's going to ruin you in any way, but a schedule is the best way to go. So like at one point, I mean, I was like, I'd wake up 6 a meal, 9 a meal, 12 a meal, 3 a meal. I mean, I would like, my body would know, I would get starving instantly. And like,
right. That's
kind of the world you want to get into where your body knows, hey, it's time to eat. Like it was crazy. I remember just being starving. I look at the clock. I'm like, oh, it's time. I think the best success rate is just repetition. And that's another form of that. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with spacing your meals out, however you need to do to fit your lifestyle. But I think
you have any good meal prepping tips that we could kind of use? Because that's one thing I think from bodybuilding that has a great application to the general population, because like I said, bodybuilders are looking great, but they don't have no problem, losing weight. What can we learn from them? I think one thing we definitely take from them is meal prepping. So do you have any like go-to meal prep ideas, favorite meal combos, or any tips on that end of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think I sent you a few different products, but I mean, as long as you're not like super crazy about the sugar-free things, obviously you're going to fight your own battle with the chemicals they use. But one of my favorite ones to push on people is the popcorn seasoning. You'll see it's zero everything popcorn seasoning in every flavor you could possibly imagine. I mean, I'll get the Parmesan cheese and just drench my chicken in it. Or like any flavor cheese, they have like nacho cheese, they have jalapeno cheese, they have buffalo. I know Walden Farms has.
And that gives you a good variety.
Yeah, I mean, literally, you can't even taste the chicken. I mean, so, I mean, if you do the same thing day in and day out, it gets very hard.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, there's ways to make it fun too. Like I've talked about like protein pancakes. People like my first meal is oats and eggs. And there's no reason you can't blend that up, add a little bit of protein to it, and it tastes fine. They make sugar-free syrup. Walden Farms has like awesome products.
I've been using that. That's a good recommendation. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you can use that. Like, I've used it on my sweet potatoes. I've used it on my beef. It sounds weird, but it's like if you need that sweet fix.
Yeah.
And it comes in like every flavor too. Like if you really want to get crazy, they have it in like every flavor syrup.
Okay.
But I mean,
but do you have like a prep day where you batch cook things, or how do you run that when you're
I was using the service up until about 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
It was pretty affordable, but they just changed the chicken, and again, it just like the chicken just went downhill, and I was like, I gotta at least enjoy what I'm eating.
Right.
So typically, I'll prep Wednesday and Sundays. You'll tend to notice that chicken and things of that nature just don't taste good after about 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually what I'll do. I can cook enough chicken to last me 3 or 4 days, and then I'll do it again on Wednesday. And then you just kind of get in the habit where you know how much you need. And
what are your other protein sources besides chicken and the protein powder?
So at the moment, I'm doing egg whites. So I'm gross. I just drink the straight egg whites.
Drink them, dude?
Yeah, I just drink them.
Oh my God.
So I know, like when I wake up, I have a cup of egg whites and a whole egg, and I just down it.
Rocky style, huh?
It's so much easier. But they do make the thing called
have you looked into like absorption rates with like drinking a raw? Like, are you sure you're still getting like everything you need to there?
I mean, I really haven't, but I know a ton of guys that do it. So I mean, it's
right. Hey, good enough, right? Like, like I said, research is what we need to adhere to. But if it works for you and everybody else, then hey, it might work for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it definitely has some kind of effect. I mean, the only thing I really know that you should cook is your vegetables, obviously, but
yeah.
But again, if you are picky and you don't want to go that route, you don't have time to cook eggs, they have something called muscle eggs. You can literally get like chocolate flavored egg whites or birthday cake flavored egg whites, and you can literally drink it, mix it into your food, whatever you want. My next meal is I do 8 ounces of beef, and I do 8 ounces of chicken, and then I do a cup and a half of egg whites. Okay. And then I'm doing, I drink it again. 2 scoops of iso pure protein, and then I do Greek yogurt before bed.
Gotcha.
So
not a lot of fats then, I guess, besides more of the eggs and the beef, I guess would be it.
Yeah, right? Beef and eggs have the fat, and then I do like a little bit of peanut butter, but nothing crazy. I mean, your fat ratio should be, again, your own rule of thumb, but I try to keep it around that 20%.
So like 40, 30, 20, or no? That
anyone who's new, again, everyone has their own opinion, but anyone who's new into this, I always go 40, 40, 20.
20.
I think it's the easiest way to just handle it. Hey, like 220 protein, 220 carbs, and then I forget what it was, like 90 fats. Break it over 5 meals, and it makes it so much easier, so much more simple. And then you can always play with your carbs as you go.
Yeah. Hey, do you know anybody who has done bodybuilding successfully following a keto diet?
I don't. I had a friend at one time who was full-blown keto. I mean, he couldn't put on the mass we put on, but I mean, he was one of the people who lost a significant amount of weight. So again, it kind of depends on what you want to do.
So he used it well for the weight loss, but
he used it for the weight loss, but I guess it's kind of a mentality thing. Like it's very hard to turn it off once you find something that works.
Yeah.
So he just kind of stuck with it. So I mean, to each their own, but I think it's a lot harder to put on mass that way.
I would agree. Yeah.
I've
done keto a few times. The first time I did it, like I think I was in the same boat as your buddy. Like I kind of got married to it, and like I was feeling great. I did it for too long. I ran it for way too long. I did it for like 7 months, I think. And once again, my hormones went to crap. My thyroid, my testosterone dropped. I was like, all right, I need to start eating carbs again. Like as soon as I did, I was like, all right, I'm feeling myself again. Great for weight. I mean, look, do you need to do keto to lose weight? Obviously not. Can it help some people? Yeah. Is there some magic pill to it? No. It's just like if you could adhere to this diet because you like eating fats more than carbs, then great, do it. But that's really the only reason you should do it.
I mean, I think it's a great tool if you need a jump start. I don't think it's anything you should do more than 2 or 3 months, though. I think it's definitely straining on your body. I mean, there has been research on how bad it is for your heart. I mean, I don't know too much of it. I'm not a doctor, but
the research is iffy. But again, like I said, there's going to be research that shows one thing, and there's going to be another study that comes out the next week that proves it. Just goes back and forth. So you got.
I've done it. I was not a fan. I mean, it definitely the first week or two. I mean, it takes a toll on you. I remember sleeping in my car, just pulling over and having to stop. I mean, it's just you get that weird taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's weird, and like people don't realize how sensitive it is too. I had one coach who was like, "You can't even chew gum because the sugar substitutes can throw you out of keto."
Right. That's another problem with keto is because people think they're under the 50 grams of carbs, and it might even be lower for some people, but even if
Yeah,
they are under 50, there's so much hidden sugar everywhere else that they're getting it from that they're not
yeah,
actually in ketosis. And then you're just doing a high fat, moderate carb diet, and then you're just ruining it.
yeah. I mean, he was very adamant about like anything, even sugar substitutes were very out of it. So I mean, when I did it, I was like hardcore.
Hmm. So another debate right now is sugar substitutes, which you just talked about. So what was his thoughts? Did he think that a sugar substitute would actually spike insulin?
Yeah, I mean that was his opinion. I mean, this was the first coach I used. He was like on the Mr. Olympic stage, and he's had a ton of athletes, and I mean he was big on insulin spikes. I remember even just my Greek yogurt even had to be like all fat. It couldn't be fat free, anything like that. He's like, there's so much substitutes in that
Right.
fat free Greek yogurt will actually make you gain fat. So I mean, I'm not as lenient now. Like my Greek yogurt now is fat free. I just think it tastes better. But at that point, he was like, absolutely not. It'll cause insulin spikes, yada yada. He's like, you're fat prone. You do not need that. So
He saw it work in the field because I see so many people like tout that artificial sweeteners will spike your insulin, and then like there's other studies that show it won't, but then there's problems with that study too. So
I mean, it definitely will. I mean, I dated a diabetic for 3 years, so
okay, what do you see with her?
I mean, it's crazy. And like she would have spikes like crazy. I mean, sugar substitutes, anything. But I mean, she also didn't have the best diet. So,
So are you saying that she would like hypothetically drink like a diet soda and then have a spike?
a little bit of a spike. Yeah. I mean, not significant, but
Really?
you notice it. Yeah.
Was it worse if she could have like a diet soda with food and then have a spike? Because I heard that's when artificial sweeteners are really the worst, when you have
Yeah.
other food.
I mean, I never really dug into it to see how hard it correlated, but I mean, it was definitely eye opening to the fact of what can just. I mean, she would have nothing even substantial, and we'd be like stabbing her with a needle trying to get her insulin down. So I mean, like, yeah.
Wow.
But, yeah.
On the insulin topic, so far I think we've kind of painted insulin in a bad light because it could be abused. But talk about how insulin is actually beneficial in bodybuilding.
I mean, do you want to talk about like using insulin for the sport, or
not using insulin, manipulating it post workout?
yeah, I mean, it just increases your absorption. So a lot of times you'll see people talk about like, hey, they'll have like gummy worms or something after a workout. I mean, a lot of these guys that are big guys and have a very staple diet, a lot of them do like Rice Krispies and things of that nature. That carb spike will just help you suck everything up.
Right.
So, I mean, it depends what you eat at the time. You can't just have like Rice Krispies and think you're going to have beneficial results. But if you're having protein with it, it's going to spike it, get everything in your bloodstream quicker and kind of increase the absorption.
Gotcha.
So, I mean, it can be a positive thing, but you just don't want to abuse it. I always talk to people like, hey, say you're eating healthy and you have a regular soda. Do you notice you're tired and lethargic and things of that nature? I was like, because you just spiked. Yeah. And it's not something you think of because it's so normal for people just to feel tired and lethargic and eat things and be like, oh, I'm tired, now I need a nap.
Right.
I mean, post-workout, I mean, it's a completely different game.
The rules kind of change around the workout, which is what I try to explain to people.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have there's that rule of thumb, like that 1 hour window where everything's super absorbent. And if you increase your insulin, then you're going to obviously be even more absorbent. So
what would be your like ideal post-workout meal for somebody?
So I'm trying to have it right there. I can't think of the name of it, but so I take Isopure. Again, we talk about this offline, but to me, that's the purest form of protein. A lot of these companies, especially like, I don't want to badmouth GNC or anything like that, but a lot of them are so big on turning a profit that you look into stuff and it's just fillers. Right. I mean, I've read things like BCAAs and things of that nature, just like, it's like chicken bones. And that's what they consider to be like, just grind up chicken bones because it's a form of protein.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, isolates, most of them, if you read the label, a lot of them are open label. Sorry, my dog. Yep. But I think it's the cleanest form of protein you can get. There's a lot of fillers in it. It's highly absorbent. It's definitely a higher price point. It depends how deep into this you want to get. But if you're looking for a lean source of protein for post-workout, I think that's your go-to.
Okay, but I'm talking about meal though. So that's the supplement, which is great. But what would be a good post-workout meal? Like what carb source would you have and what protein source would you have?
I should grab it over there. So right now I'm using a powder carb. I got to look up what it was, but they have basically a powder carb you add to your protein, and it essentially is a fast digesting carb. So it spikes your insulin, it helps you absorb the protein, and it's made primarily for post workout. Again, I've had coaches.
I'm running like I do whey protein right after, and I should be doing isolate, of course. And I'm also using it's called mass or a size on by Gas Bar Nutrition. It's like it's pretty much just post workout carbs, but I do that like intra workout, like an hour or like not an hour, but like halfway through my workout.
Yeah.
Then I'll drink that, and then like half an hour after workout, that's when I have like my post workout meal. Are you saying that I could just pretty much skip the meal and just make it all in that shake?
I mean, essentially, that's what I've always done. I mean, right now my post workout is the Isopure, the powder. So the one, I mean, I forget the name of the actual product. This one's super carb. It's by NutriBio.
Okay.
And then like 2 rice cakes and a tablespoon of peanut butter. So I mean, there's essentially some real food, but
Gotcha.
to me, the rule of thumb has always been whatever goes in your body quicker. So like a powder is going to digest a lot quicker.
Yeah, definitely.
The absorption rate is going to be a lot faster than if you ate chicken.
And if you drink it too.
Yeah, I mean, if you ate chicken and rice, that's going to take a few hours to digest. This is going to right away just soak up.
Gotcha.
So I mean, I guess while a lot of coaches will have like the rice cakes and things as well, so you have something that's a little slower as well. I mean, that's a slow digesting carb. It's going to take a little longer to break down, but it's kind of always.
That's one thing that I think people don't understand is, after a workout, they might go and like eat a bunch of like vegetables and like a salad.
Yeah.
That's going to like really slow things up. And like I said before, the rules change around the workout. So that's where I think meal timing, is it absolutely critical? Not necessarily, but it does move the needle.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only 2 meals that have always been really stressed to me is pre-workout and post-workout. So to eat.
Pre-workout then.
So I mean, right now I'm doing the eggs for my pre-workout meal. So the eggs in a cup and a half of egg whites and 3/4 cup of rice. But I'll do that about an hour and a half before my workout. Gives me time to digest, things of that nature. And then I'll take my pre-workout about a half hour before.
Gotcha.
And then post-workout, you want to do it right after you work out, but you have that an hour window, and you'll notice you're hungry when you leave. But then if you don't do it quick enough, it'll kind of subside.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's when your body is most absorbent. It's looking for nutrients. You just worked out. You just burned a ton of stuff off. It wants fuel.
Let's replenish for sure. Cool, man. All right, let me see. Anything else you want to bring up, talk about tonight?
Nah, I mean, I think we hit all the topics. I was joking around earlier that I'm the most talkative, like outgoing person ever. And this is like, I feel like I'm doing an interview, so I'm a little nervous still, but I mean, I have people I've never met before DM me 24/7, just like asking questions, things of that nature. I mean, I always take the time to talk to people, pick my brain. I bust your balls all the time about the stuff you post. Again, it's always gonna be biased. It's always gonna be this or that. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's things that work, there's things that don't work. So I mean, feel free to ask me or even just follow me, and like I'll post motivational things and stuff of that nature. I'm, like I said, very transparent.
Yeah, that's
probably the biggest I've been in a while right now, like weight wise. And I'm sure you'll see a picture up there in the next month or two, like, hey, this is where I was and that's where I'm at now. Like,
right.
I love showing the roller coaster. I mean, I don't love doing it, but I love showing it because it's real.
Yeah.
I mean, again, a misconception. A lot of these guys who look like this year round, they work in the industry. They don't have normal lives. They don't have families. They don't work 60 hours a week. I mean, a lot of these guys work at gyms or they work in nutrient shops or they just are fitness based or flexible schedules. That's not the average person.
And the other thing is they could be on something too.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time these guys are on something too. So,
right.
That's the one thing I have learned through the world. I mean, I know just a lot of times your average person. I remember talking to a teacher one time who she was very in shape, but she was like, yeah, do you know where to get X, Y, and Z? I said, holy shit. And I mean, it's a very common thing that people don't realize. Yeah. People look great in the gym and you have no idea what they're doing or what they're on, but most times somebody is on something. Yeah. Again, I'm very transparent with that, and I try to tell people, and it's a hard thing to swallow, but it's the real life.
Well, I think it's good that you're out there and you're showing people, like, if you're not getting paid to do this 24/7, if you're not working in the fitness industry, if you're not on something, it's normal to have these ebbs and flows.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's a full-time job. I mean, I've done it and I've burned myself out and I've gotten out of it and I've got back into it. And you kind of got to find a balance, which is where I'm at now. I don't mind getting fat and I don't mind getting like ripped, but you got to find a life balance. And
Yeah.
I think that's the hardest part for people, is to find a happy medium.
Right.
Uh,
So do you think this is kind of like what the rest of the future holds? Like you're going to pretty much just be, working out and kind of ebbing and flowing until you can't anymore, pretty much, right?
yeah, I mean, I definitely love to do like another show at least to kind of see how it goes. I've been kind of scouting out a coach that I want to do. It's just it's expensive, so it's definitely worth taking the time and investing and getting into a shape that I feel comfortable with before investing in money. There's no point in going into a coach when you're looking fat and sloppy.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I would love to get another show or two under my belt. I mean, again, it's not my lifestyle. I could care less about a trophy. It's more about, hey, I used to be that really fat guy at college, and now that guy's doing shows, and for me, it's more helping people and motivating people than for myself. But yeah, I would joke like once I have a kid or something, if I ever have a kid, that's kind of when it's over for me. But for now, this is kind of where I'm at.
Gotcha, man. Very cool. Hey, buddy. Appreciate your time, man. Once again, go follow him at Lurbergz, Lurburgz. I'll spell it for you because you can't spell very well, but I love him anyway. All right, man.
Major, I don't know how to spell.
Appreciate it, buddy.
You got it.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, man.
Say.